How you doing, everyone? Hope you can hear me. Just if you can check in with me, that'd be great, please. Just let me know that sounds all right. I've just had to put another lighting rig set up here. It was a little bit dark. I think that's just about all right, isn't it? Let me know if you can hear me all right, please. I hope you are all well. It's nice to see one or two of you waiting to log on. So if you could just confirm if you're in the chat, please. Thanks for logging on. Great to see you. This was a little bit of a last minute thing, but that's the way that things have been. Good evening. Thanks, David. Appreciate it, mate. Steffo, thanks, mate. I've got a cup of coffee on the go. There we go. It's been a very hectic day at work again. I haven't been home long. So how are you all? Are you all okay? Are you getting out there fishing? I know lots of you in different places, different countries all over the world, really, mainly Europe. I know that some people are out there fishing. Some aren't fishing. Some are still in lockdown. Let me know what you've been up to. Great to see somebody logging on. Thanks, everybody. Good evening, Harry. Kev's here. Andre. Stephen Armstrong. How are you, Stephen? Great to see you all. Please let me know you're all right. Alex is here. David. Chris. Andrew W. from Rochdale. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for letting me know where you are, mate. I'm just going to have a quick swig of this. Smashing. How are you all? Anyway, have you all been getting out fishing? I've got quite a few things I want to tell you about tonight, and rather than just doing them in a kind of formal video kind of format or even just a text format like on Facebook and that sort of thing, I just thought it to be a little bit more personal to just tell you basically what's happening with the channel, what I've been up to, and what's coming up as well. I thought it'd be a lot more personal to do that through a live feed, so that I can obviously see your comments as well, and hopefully we'll have a chance to go through some questions and stuff, and just let me know how you've been getting on. So it's great to see quite a few people logging on. That's brilliant. Like I say, this is a bit of it's not a last minute thing. I only announced it about an hour ago, but I wasn't sure if I'd have time to do this tonight. I certainly didn't have time to produce a formal video for you, so I thought I'd do this and do it now while everything's fresh. Terry's here. Thanks for joining us, Terry. Andy Phelps. Good evening, Andy. Thanks for your message, mate, and I will be getting back to you, mate. Thanks for what you messaged me about last night. Thanks, mate. Alan's here. Good evening, Alan. Hope you're well, mate. I think you're hoping to get to Ireland this year, aren't you, mate? Hopefully. Fingers crossed for you. Hopefully we all can. Kevin's here. Jason. Jace Morris. Good evening, mate. Glenn. There's so many people here. That's brilliant. Thank you. I'm going to hang on a while for just a few minutes, just to give more people a chance to log on, because the few things that I do really want to tell you and just kind of explain to you about the channel and stuff and what I've been up to, I'd like to do. You're obviously all loyal subscribers, so thank you very much for that. And I'd like you to just hear it firsthand, rather than on playback or through a third party. So good evening. Who's that? Glenn from South Africa. Good evening, Glenn. How are you getting on down there, mate? Please let us know. Are you able to go fishing? What's the situation down there? I've heard quite a few I've had quite a few messages from people in Europe and stuff. I've kind of got an idea what's happening with them as regards fishing, but what's it like down in South Africa? Please let us know, mate. Texas Jungle. I love that log on. I need to change my log on to something like that. That's a way better than mine. Dean Walker. Good evening, Dean. Thanks for joining us, mate. Jeff's here. Lewis. Thanks for logging on, everybody. Have you all been getting out fishing? Please let me know how you've been getting on. We kind of thought here in the UK that the weather was going to pick up. We had 2 or 3 beautiful days. Everybody suddenly started putting shorts on and t-shirts. They suddenly started tying up shallow rigs and pellet wagglers. And it's gone back to Siberia weather again. It was, I fished a match on Sunday, and we had, well, I think there were more than 4 seasons. I know there are only 4 seasons, but the weather was just unreal. In the last hour, it snowed heavier than I think I've ever snowed in, the biggest snowflakes I've ever seen. So we went from 1 minute almost sat in our t-shirts to literally just everything being wet through, snow everywhere, all our hoods up. It was it wasn't very pleasant. So yeah, no wonder the fish don't know where they are. The air temperature's quite. It's been okay, but the water's still freezing cold. So we still we're waiting for summer. We're waiting to step up and hopefully catch some fish. But we are obviously still having to fish with winter tactics. So I'm just going to have a quick check in, see who else is here. Terry's here. Good evening, Terry. Great. Thanks everybody for logging on. Andrew W, Partridge Lakes, for me, it's been great. I know some of the commercials have been fishing brilliant, you know, or albeit a little bit patchy. You know, I was at Decoy Lakes on Sunday, and there were some fantastic weights, absolutely brilliant weights. But in between, there were some weights that weren't quite so good. But that's what happens when the water's colder, you know. Fish do tend to congregate in areas, and that's what happens. So, what's Terry saying? I used your Ringer's Dark and Ringer's Natural with red maggot. Had a lovely bag of big roach from Blessington Reservoir. Fantastic. You know, I keep hearing great catches being caught here, there, and everywhere. And some of the venues are fishing better than some venues do in summer, you know, but a lots are still fishing hard. So Sean's here. Good evening, Sean. Hope you're well, mate. Well, just put you in the picture then, just to let you know what's been happening. As you are probably aware, because I think everybody who's logged on now has logged on because your subscribers, you know, you are in the loop with this channel. Like I say, it's massively appreciated. And over the last few years, I've done a lot to upload as much content to this channel as I possibly can. I've done things slightly different, as you know, from lots of other people, and I've experimented a hell of a lot. You know, I've found out lots of things that work. I found out a hell of a lot, probably more things that don't work. But I think a lot of you have enjoyed that variety, you know. And one thing I've tried to do is just bring you content, whether it be from here in the tattle room, or whether it actually be out on the bank side, or whether it be in a tattle shop or something like that, just to keep content going out and keep it nice and varied. However, I'm wanting now to produce much more from the bank side, much more fishing session type videos from lots and lots of different venues. And in a few weeks' time, I'm going to get the chance to do that. So I just want to say thank you for supporting the channel so far. You know, just by watching every video, you know, that means the world to me, and that helps my channel grow. And the more it grows, the more content I can produce for you. So I hope you've been enjoying the content. You will probably know, as loyal subscribers, that I haven't uploaded a video for about 2 weeks now, which is probably the longest period I've ever gone without uploading a video. I have had quite a few messages just asking if everything's all right. Everything is all right. But by every sense of the word, you know, everything's better than all right. The reason why I haven't uploaded any videos for the last 2 weeks is quite simple, because I haven't had a chance to go out and film any fresh videos for you. And that's because I've been working on other stuff that I'll tell you about in a moment. So the only videos that I actually had in the bank were ones that were they were the fishing basics videos. Now, I know they're not for everybody, but there's been so many people getting into fishing. They've been enjoying the fishing basic stuff, you know, the back to basic stuff. Lots of people are getting into the sport for the first time, and lots of people are getting back into the sport that have had a break from it. You know, I've met so many people over the last few weeks that have had 20, 25 years off from fishing. You know, they used to fish, they got married, had kids and all that sort of thing. Fishing got put on the back burner. They probably got rid of their tackle. But now the kids have grown up, or they're starting to slow down with work and stuff. They're deciding to get back into fishing again. And obviously what we've been going through and coming out of lockdown and that sort of thing, fishing has been one of the few things that we have actually been able to do. So that's obviously just given people a bit of more of an urge to get out there and take up fishing again. So I've been getting loads of messages about the fishing basics side of stuff, and that's been great. I've really been enjoying just kind of helping people out with that. You know, it's great that there are so many newcomers to the sport. So I know lots of people have been enjoying those videos. However, I don't want to keep rolling those videos out. I have got quite a few in the bank to roll out, but I obviously want to mix them up with other videos in between. So for the last 2 weeks, I haven't uploaded anything, and that's purely because the videos that I've got were very repetitive of the previous videos, and I want to keep it fresh for you. So tonight is really just to let you know what I've been up to. So the last 2 weeks, I have been expanding my business. So now my business really entails a lot of video and videography work. So I'm getting approached by fisheries and that sort of thing to help promote their fisheries. Now, by that, I basically mean that if you own a fishery, you can have a video put together to show off your fishery. Now, that can be a 2 or a 3 minute video just of your fishery, just what you might want to put on Facebook or something like that. Or I am also producing videos that really show off the fishery, show everything. So if you've got a bigger fishery where there are lodges there, campsites, the camping, touring sites, you've got several lakes, several facilities on site, like you might have a bar, a cafe, that sort of thing, a restaurant, then obviously that would mean a longer video. So that is an area that I'm now involved in. Okay, and all the information about that can be done through my website, which is catchfishingchannel.co.uk. So because that side of my business has got going, I haven't started advertising it yet. This is probably the first time I've mentioned it like this. It's going to be freeing up more of my time. So the bottom line is that my channel now is at a stage, and my fishing is at a stage where I have recently handed my notice in at work. So in 6 weeks' time, I quit my full-time job. So on the 28th of May, I will be doing this full-time. I'll be fishing full-time, and I'll also be running my membership channel, Patron TV, full-time. So I'm literally going to have 7 days a week to get out there on the bank, to get filming, to get fishing, competing in matches, and working on the stuff that I do for Matrix as well. So this is something that many people that, you know, that have launched a channel like this will never get the opportunity. They'll never get to that stage. And yes, it's a big risk. Of course it is, but it's a calculated risk. It's going to mean a lot of work. But obviously I couldn't really have got to that stage without all of you supporting the channel and just kind of watching the videos. That's what it boils down to. So watching the videos, giving great feedback about what you like to see and what you like to watch. And the biggest problem I've always had is just not getting enough time to get out there and film more videos for you. And that's exactly what's happening now. Okay, so the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've really taken out to put everything in place for that to happen. Obviously, match fishing's kicked off as well. Here in England, we are now back match fishing. I know that's not the same all over Europe. I know that. I keep getting messages. Yes, we are lucky to be back out match fishing. But everything that I've really been doing is so that I can still go match fishing. I can film the matches for you. I can film my session videos for you, share them with you on YouTube and on Patron TV. But it means that whilst I'm out there doing that, it means that my little business is in the background earning a bit of money so that I can stay out there on the bank filming for you. That's basically what I've been putting in place. So this really is probably the biggest, it's probably the lowest key video I've ever uploaded. It's actually a live stream, as you know, but as regards the actual the meaning behind it and what it means is that it's the biggest video that I've ever uploaded. And that's because I'm now going to get from getting, you know, 1 day a week to 2 days a week maximum, producing what I've been producing, the 400 videos that I've already produced. I'm now going to get 7 days a week. I'm going to get the flexibility to visit lots and lots of different fisheries. I've already been invited to several different fisheries and places abroad as well to go and fish, to go and film sessions there. So this is a massive turning point for this channel. Obviously it was built on match fishing, and obviously it was built on feeder fishing. That's ultimately what it's all about. But obviously there's a hell of a lot more scope out there than what people, I know what people like to watch, and I know you like to watch the experiences. Me rocking up at a venue I've not seen before, not knowing whether I'm going to blank or empty the place, you know, and I know you love to watch me just see how I get on. You know, it's real life TV, you know, reality TV. So it's a massive thing for me, but it's a massive thing for the channel as well. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's just kind of watched the videos. That's really what it boils down to. So what does that mean going forward? It means that obviously, you know, I'm going to be out this weekend continuing to produce content on this channel to get back on track with the filming, but actually filming from the bank side. I don't want to keep filming from the tackle room. I know lots of you like that sort of thing, but ultimately a lot of it and most of it will be now from the bank side because I'm going to get a chance to get out there. I'm going to be covering lots of different methods as well. I'm going to be covering lots of float fishing, lots of pole fishing, and where possible, I'm going to be getting other anglers involved as well. And, you know, whilst there will be a lot of kind of how-to type fishing, you know, how we fish certain methods, things like that, a lot of the videos you're going to see are going to be kind of experience videos. So when I rock up at a venue, I will have an idea how I'm going to fish. If it works, that's brilliant, and hopefully you'll enjoy the video and I'll enjoy being there. If it doesn't work, then you're going to be learning with me because I'm going to be trying things out. I'm going to be trying to see what works, what doesn't work. And if there are other anglers there, I will be using them as well. So it's going to, you know, the channel's been very down one kind of avenue, whereas now it's just going to broaden a little bit. So you're going to be seeing lots more venues. So if you are involved with any venues in the UK, that you'd like, or you can suggest going along to film, then please let me know. Just comment in the comment section below. I'd love to come along for a day and just have a day's filming. Obviously, I will just film my session, and obviously it's a little bit of exposure for the fishery as well. So that is, you know, that when I say fishery, that's also going to apply to canals. It's going to apply to rivers as well. Okay, so it's going to be a lot more varied. I've got more scope to do it. So please let me know what you'd like to see, either in the chat here or underneath the video. But like I say, the 28th of May is when I'm completely finished in my full-time job. So that's when I'm going to be getting 7 days a week to build on what we've got already. I've built this on just on working part-time on this, an hour, you know, a day a week or whatever it is. So you can imagine the kind of growth we're going to see on the channel now. So I just want to have a quick check-in with the comments, because, you know, you've all taken the trouble out to join us tonight. And I just want to say a quick hello to as many people as I possibly can before I keep bombarding you with more news and what's happening with the channel. So there's so many people logged on. Thank you, everybody. If I do miss you, I do apologise. But I think I might be able to go back to where I was. Thanks for that, Terry. Great to hear you've had a good catch with the Ringer's Dark and Ringer's Natural, mate. It is a lovely mix, especially this time of year when it's still you know, it's not too strong. You know, I think you know that in summer I like to use a stronger mix, but this time of year, springtime or getting into that sort of period, a weakened down fish meal mix can be brilliant, and it's a nice fine mix as well. But there are lots of mixes like that out there that fit that bill. Sean's here. Good evening, Sean. Hope you're well. Been bagging up at the Oaks, Sesse, and Auckland waters in where? Cowdall? Godall. I don't know that name. Sorry, Sean. But I'm glad you've been bagging. Hayton Lakes for me. That's Fuzz. Good evening, Fuzz. I know you're a year older now, aren't you? It was your birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, mate. I hope Val did you some of that lovely cake, what she does. Mr. Foster's here. Good evening, Alan. Hope you're well, mate. Wednesday or losing, pal. All right. The funny thing is, Alan's referring to Sheffield Wednesday. Alan's a Sheffielder. The thing is, you commented there, Alan, that could have been on any one of my previous videos, you know. They're not exactly on a winning streak, are they, at the moment? But thanks for joining us, mate. Hope Joe's all right, mate. Hope you're both okay. Tim's here. Good evening, Jamie. Still thawing out from Sunday. Yeah, it was a little bit of a test on Sunday. Character building. That's what they used to say. Stephen Armstrong. Good evening, Stephen. Thanks for joining us, mate. Local pond, 1 2-ounce perch and hypothermia. All right. Well, you caught, mate. That's the main thing. You caught, Steve. You got something for your efforts. Lucifer. Good evening, mate. Taking £4 brown trout on the Tame in Manchester, and one of the lads on a £9 barbel. Fantastic. Lewis Ferguson. Good evening, Lewis. Tricky fishing in North Wales at the moment. Weather very strange. I know we're getting tested. Steve, we're getting tested, Lewis, mate. Steve 12's here. Good evening, Steve. David, Jamie, fancy a day on Staunton Harold when it's open? Yes, I do. I've got 1 or 2 coaching sessions on there as well. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of people have been asking about, because obviously I'm going to get 7 days a week freed up from the end of May. That frees up more coaching days. So if anyone's interested in booking any coaching days that are more midweek, because obviously I haven't been able to do that, then just check the website, catchfishingchannel.co.uk. I'll put a link underneath this video. Everything I mentioned tonight, there are links underneath here for you. So there are some extra dates in there if that's something. But if you just fancy a day's fishing, I mean, I'm going to be going to Staunton Harold anyway. You know, it's a great venue. You can do lots of different styles of fishing there when it's fishing right. So yes, I will be going there. Definitely, David. Terry, Jamie, if you could win any big feeder event, what would it be? I'll be absolutely honest with you, Terry. I'm very... I've got to be careful how I say this, but I don't just want to win any event in any way. You know, if I win anything, whether it's just a match, even if it's 20 pegger, I like to win it in a good way. And, you know, I mean, that's one of the great things about the Golden Rod Feeder Final that took place a few days ago. For those of you that don't know what happened with that event, I will let you know, because I know a lot of you aren't on Facebook and stuff. The Golden Rod Feeder event is the competition that Phil Briscoe runs through the winter. Lots of different qualifiers, just like Feeder Masters, and the 3 qualifiers from each match or each qualifier go through to a big final at Larford Lakes. And that's where it's usually about £12,000 to the winner. However, this year they could only run so many qualifiers due to lockdown and travel restrictions. So basically what happened is, lots of people asked me about it. I had loads of tickets for it. You know, I must have had 10 tickets for the event. It was an event I wanted to focus on this year. But obviously, due to travel restrictions, we were in, I don't even know what we're in now. It all seems like a blur, tier 3 or whatever it was. We shouldn't have travelled outside South Yorkshire, and I stuck to those guidelines very, very strictly through that period. And so I couldn't travel to any of the qualifiers because they were all out of our region. So unfortunately, whilst I was really up for that event, I never got to fish any of the qualifiers. So lots of the qualifiers didn't get fished because they simply couldn't get alternative dates in place before the final. So the final still went ahead. Phil Briscoe ran the final, and I think it was with 27 or 28 anglers. Now, usually I think there are 60 anglers in that event, but it took place with 27 or 28. So obviously that's a big drop, a big difference. And Alex Doherty won it. A lot of you probably know Alex. He's sponsored by Drennan. He's a brilliant angler. He works at Lindholm Lakes, and he won it. But one of the things, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because he won it. Obviously, that was at Lindholm Lakes. But one of the key things about that was that he didn't win it from end pegs. You know, Larford's been labelled in the past as just been an end peg venue where you can't compete unless you draw an end peg. And thankfully for Alex, he actually won it without drawing end pegs. And I think that was absolutely brilliant. You know, it obviously says a lot about his performance, but it also shows that those end pegs can be beaten. So just going back to your question, Terry, if I was going to win one of the big feeder events, I mean, there are really, I mean, you're probably talking about Feeder Masters and the Golden Rod Feeder. It'd have to be Feeder Masters. And that's for a couple of reasons. One reason is that's the biggest standing event. You know, that's the one that's ran the longest. And I think that's got more prestige behind it at the moment anyway, and has done so far. So I'd like to win it for that reason. There are more big name anglers chase that one than the Golden Rod Feeder at the moment. And the other reason is the final is at Tamar Lakes. And I know Tamar, having never fished a match there, I know that at Tamar, I think you've got to be pretty good technically. You know, you've got to know when to target roach and where, and you've got to know when to target skimmers and where. So that it's to win on that venue. I think it's. I'm not going to say it's harder, but there's a lot more kind of to think about. Whereas at Larford Lakes, you know you're going to be targeting carp and F1s. You know it's probably going to be the method feeder, and you're going to need to draw pretty well as well. So I just think it's more appealing to me to win at Tamar in that event. Possibly that's because I love my natural venues, those wild, more unpredictable venues like that. So for me, Terry, it's a bit Feeder Masters. I have got some Feeder Masters tickets. Sunday, I fished the first qualifier of the year. That was at Decoy Lakes. Very interesting match. Bit frustrating. Well, very frustrating. But you know, you've got to go in these matches to stand a chance of getting in that final again. So yeah, I've got some tickets for that, Terry. So yeah, I'd say Feeder Masters right now, mate. Let's just have a look. What else we got here? Vasil, was that? I lost a few of my alloy feeders into the water during fishing. Why is that happening? I'm not quite sure what that is. How are you losing the feeders? Is it when you cast in? Are they coming off? Or is it? I don't know. Just give me a little bit more information about that. I might be able to help you, but sounds a little bit strange to me. Dean Walker, use your method of Ringo's Micros and Ringer's Slims on Saturday at Fleets. Got second place. Cheers for the videos. Really helpful. That's brilliant, Dean. It fished a little bit better at Fleets, didn't it? And it's good to know you caught on the Slims. I've been catching on the Slims, the Ringer Slim hook baits. I don't know why. Maybe because I fish with them more. I don't know. But yeah, I've been catching on them. I can't even say why that is. But yeah, been catching on them, and sometimes that's all you need. Just that little bit of confidence in him for you to just keep, you know, making sure you're as confident as you can be in your hook bait when you're fishing with a method feeder. So well done, Dean, mate. I know the fishing picked up. Terry, how's Dad? Dad's very well, thank you. I took him out fishing for the first time a couple of weeks ago. That's the first time he's been out since before Christmas, and he never had a bite. But we did go to Southfield Reservoir, which is fishing incredibly hard at the moment. But yeah, we went there. The sun was out. He never had a bite, but we loved every minute. It was just nice to get out on the bank. Yeah, I haven't been out anywhere since, but yeah, he's very well, thank you. And everyone's been asking him about him on the match circuit. So yeah, we're hoping to be able to get back out there on the bank soon. Robert Murray, hi Rob. Travel restrictions lifting in Scotland. Hope to get down at it soon. Brilliant. Glad to hear it, Robert, mate. Alan Bromyard, no problem, mate. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Rob Murray. I will do, mate. How much do you need to start basic fishing? This is from Carter 2929. Basic fishing. I think you just mean. Do you mean just rocking up at a commercial and just getting started. You don't need much money at all, to be fair. I'm going to call you Carter because I don't know your name. I do apologise unless that is your name. But you don't need much money. The great thing now is that there isn't that much bad tattle out there. You know, even the cheaper tattle, if you want to call it cheaper tattle, or the less expensive tattle, is still pretty good quality now. You know, it's way better than it was. For a reel now, you can get a reel for, you know, £30 that's going to last you, and you can pick rods up for £30 or £40 as well. And that's your setup. You know, you can buy spools of line for £6 or £7. And that's obviously your basics, and then it's whether you're going to fish with a float or a feeder. Feeders are about £2.50 each, depending on the type of feeder that you're getting, and hooks, you're looking at £2 a packet for 10. So, you know, for less than £100, you could get, you know, a bit of a setup. You're going to need something to sit on. That could be the thing that you could easily spend a lot of money on, but some sort of a seat box or something, or a chair, depending on what you're comfortable in. But I think you could get a setup for less than £100. But yeah, I mean, if you want any more, you know, if there are any more specifics around that, then please let me know. Terry, Jamie, have you caught any more sturgeon or weird hybrids? I haven't recently, no. No, I mean, I've only really been on commercials. Obviously, the rivers are closed at the moment. But no, I haven't caught any more strange fish. I've got a feeling that the strange fish just appear when I'm filming. Maybe that's the secret. Whenever the camera's on, that's when those fish appear. That could be the secret. I'm going to have to experiment with that one. But I'll certainly let you know if I do. Chris Smith, good luck, Jamie. Doing something you'll love. Excellent news. Thanks, Chris, mate. Thanks for joining us, mate, and watching all the videos. Glenn, all good this side fishing. A method match this coming Saturday on a new venue, and then a feeder match next weekend before going into winter. Learning a lot from you, although we use different feed. Yes, yeah, the feed's very, very different, isn't it? I mean, that's still something that is strange. You know, when we're traveling to different countries all over, well, mainly Europe, but obviously all over the world, it's amazing how the differences in baits. There are obviously some similarities, but yeah, it's funny how the bait thing is very much a localized thing. But well, you're just going into winter, we're coming out of it, so hopefully through your winter you're going to be enjoying watching us catch some fish in the summer, hopefully, especially if fishing can get back to normal in some shape or form. Thanks, Terry Wall, really appreciate it, mate. Thanks, Chris Riley, appreciate it. Steffo, yeah, thanks. Just thank you. I mean, the comments are there. I don't want to. It's really nice to get the comments. Thank you so much, everybody. Hi, Jamie. Do you have some material with X Pro distance 4 rods in action? Love 370, but that does not cover my needs. 4 to 4.3 rods in action. I don't. I haven't got any of the new rods in those lengths. The new rods that I've got, I mean, I've still got the XDs in 4 meters. I have actually got the 4.3 meter XD Horizons as well, but I never use them. You know, there's such specialized rods that we don't really use them over here. The main rods that I'm using at the moment are the X Pro distance, but the 12 foot, and that's really what appeals to me and a lot of the fishing that we do. The 12-foot rod, you know, you can still fish at that 60 centimeter range with a 12-foot rod. You could probably go further. I haven't experimented with that yet, but certainly if you were fishing with a method feeder, and I would much rather use a 12-foot rod than a 13-foot rod to fish at those ranges. You know, just because it's a lot more comfortable, it's a lot easier for a little lad like me to punch the rod out there. I can go further with a 12-foot rod than I can with a 13-foot rod. But it also means that when you are netting and playing fish, it's easier on a shorter rod. With a 13-foot rod, you know, when you're playing fish, they come up quite a long way out. Whereas with a 12-foot rod, those fish are nearer to you, so they're easier to net as well. So I haven't yet, but if you know, I'll see if I can get hold of one for you. But if you've had some experience with it, please let me know. Thanks, Steve 12. Really appreciate it, mate. When are live matches coming back? Harry Breeze. Hi, Harry. I am going to be doing some live matches again for you. Like I said, I fished one on Sunday. I didn't film that one just because I've been away the previous 2 days. I've been down in the Midlands for 2 nights. I was coaching Friday at Barston Lakes. On Saturday, so I stayed down there in Rugby. On Saturday, we had a group coaching day with Dean Barlow at Larford Lakes. So I stopped again in Rugby, and then I went over to Whittlesea on the Sunday. So because I was away, there was just too much to get in place without me having to worry about charging all the cameras up and taking all that along with me as well. So they are coming, mate. They are definitely on the way again, Harry, mate. So don't worry about that, mate. They are definitely on the way again. I've got to keep my eye on this feed here because I don't want to miss anybody out. thank you so much to everybody for logging on tonight. Yeah, just to let you know, I mean, the website's up to date, so it's catchfishingchannel.co.uk. There's information on there about, obviously, the coaching days. There's information on there about Patreon TV. There's information on there about the online feeder fishing courses that myself and Dean Barlow have launched. There are 4 different courses on there. So no matter where you are in the world, you can download those courses. And it's just a fast-track way of learning all those things that, you know, you might want to brush up on if you're just getting into feeder fishing. So, for example, you know, like there's a beginner's course, then there's an advanced course as well. So the beginner's course goes right the way through from reel choice, selecting the right reel for the type of fishing that you're going to be doing, matching that to the rod, to the line, and all that sort of thing. And there's an advanced course which is much more in depth about baits, ground baits, various things like that. And then there are also 2 long-range feeder fishing courses as well. Both of those long-range courses, the instructor for those is Dean Barlow, who's the England feeder team manager. And their links are underneath here if they are something that you're interested in. The people that have taken them have really enjoyed them. You know, they're really fast-tracked their fishing. And each video in the course you can download as well. So you can, when you log on, you can download it to your PC, to your laptop, or to your phone as well. So I know lots of people have been asking about that. So they're all on the website. You know, that's another thing I've been working on, just so everyone's got one place to go to for information like that. So many other people logged on. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. There's so many to go through. Yes, loads of people asking about Dad. Dad's all right. Thank you very much. Chris Olner would love to see you have a session on a Telford AA day ticket water just to see what they really produce. Pop down to sunny Shropshire. What kind of venues are those, Chris? I mean, I've fished venues in Shropshire before, but it's really always been canals. So, I mean, you just said Telford AA day ticket water. Are they still waters or are they canals? If you can let me know, please, Chris, then obviously I can add them to my list. Thanks, Kevin. Barbara Neville wondered where the feeder sessions had gone. Nice to know you will have more coming. There are loads more coming. There'll be more, and there'll be more of them and better ones. So yeah, I had to take that 2 or 3 weeks out to get everything in place. But obviously, you know what I've decided to do. It's a big decision, and I wanted to do it right. So Stephen's here. Stephen Shannon's. Hi, Stephen. Mark Emmons. Good evening, Mark. Hope you're well, mate. Tony M. Hello, mate. Fishing with Declan. Can I have a shout out? Of course you can. Fishing with Declan. Declan, is that a YouTube channel, mate? Let me type it in. Fishing with Declan. It sounds like a channel. Fishing with Declan. There we go. It looks like you've got a channel on there, mate. There you go. If anyone wants to check that one out, check that one out. Thanks for joining us tonight, mate. Alan Sandham. Good evening, Alan. Heading out me first time session of the year on the weekend. Oh, Stephen, brilliant, mate. Where you going, mate? Anywhere nice? Let us know how you're getting on. Lots of people getting out for the first time. Madness Mayhem. No, that's a log on. Madness Mayhem. I'm 12 years old and I catch the 30-pound. Is that in 30-pounder? If you've caught a 30-pounder and 12 years old, I'm jealous. I'm jealous whatever age you are if you caught a 30-pounder. Matt 126 won a local club match with 97 pound of carp and F1s. Fantastic, brilliant weights. I mean, they're good weights in summer for some venues. 97 pound. Were they all big fish or were they all kind of, you know, a nice mixture? You have to let us know. Ian Hampshire, Jamie, good evening and greetings from S10. A few sessions from the Trent would be good. Loads coming up on the Trent, Ian. One competition that I'm fishing this year that I've never really got involved in before is Riverfest. I've managed to get 4 or 5 tickets for that, and I think just about every one of them is actually on the River Trent as well. So that's obviously going to involve lots of float fishing as well as feeder fishing, I'm expecting anyway. So I've been busy through the last few weeks of lockdown getting my float fishing gear up to scratch. You know, it's not something I've done for a long time, but stick float fishing and waggler fishing, the things that you need, you know, in your armory when you're fishing on the Trent, certainly in summer as well. So yes, there are going to be some from the Trent and other rivers as well. Like I say, because obviously when the rivers open again, I'm going to be here, there and everywhere. So there'll be lots of variety for you. Chris Riley, got to be in Ireland, Jamie, for me. I wish, well, I'm hoping we're going to get over to Ireland this year. Steve Hughes, congratulations, Jamie. Fantastic news. Thank you, mate. Thanks for watching everything. Jonathan Powell, well done. You've worked hard, bro. Thank you. Just thanks, everybody. I will go through all these afterwards. Was that a comment? Let's just have a look on here. Yeah, so many comments. Thank you, everybody. Like I say, I have got a list of the videos that I'm working through. So if anyone's got any quick questions about anything to do with your fishing, any sort of bits of kit, tattle, since I last uploaded a video, and certainly last time I've done anything like this, I've been using quite a few bits of kit that is new. Obviously, as you'd expect, it's matrix gear, but lots of people have been asking why I've changed over to certain items of tattle. Obviously, when there are so many rods in the range, why have I selected those? So if anyone's got any queries about those, then obviously I will let you know, but you're going to be seeing me using those in the videos anyway. I've really condensed all my kit down recently over the last few weeks. I really compacted everything down, so it's much more modular. So a lot of the feeders and things, I'll just quickly show you. Feeders, for example, are all carried in boxes like this, flow. As you can expect, they are all the river feeders that I carry. Okay, so in there's a nice selection of all the river feeders. So when I'm heading off to rivers, obviously I can just grab that and away I go. I've got another one here, which is basically for pond fishing. So that's all the little cage feeders. There's one or two maggot feeders, little rocket horizon style feeders, that sort of thing. So if I'm going somewhere where it's 30-40 meter cast, that's a pond, or I'm going to be doing that sort of fishing, then I will take that with me. I've got another one for lakes. I've got another one with my method feeders in as well, and that sort of thing. So a lot of the things I've been doing is very kind of modular. It just speeds up the whole process of just preparing your kit, especially if you're going to be going on different venues. It means I can come straight here into the tackle room and just pick up whichever box that I need for that venue, and away I go. It's just speeding everything up so I can spend more time on the bank. That's ultimately what it's about. So I can spend more time filming, which means that, I can get more videos uploaded for you and just share more of the experiences that I'm fortunate to be involved in. So, so a lot of the kit, you will see some changes. I've changed the seat box, as a lot of you know. I'm using the XR36 Compact, which is great for what I need. So there are so many messages here. Stephen Shannon, living in Ireland, mate. So heading out to a local venue. We'll be just happy to get out, mate. Skimmers and roach. Yeah, I mean, that's been the main thing for most people. Just to get out there, get out on the bank and just get some fishing done. Hooks and hammocks. Hello from Indiana, USA. Good evening. How are you, mate? You all right? Are there any sort of similarities from the fishing that you're doing over in Indiana that are similar to what we're doing here? Please let me know. I'm dying to know. The States is somewhere that I have got on the radar as well to do some filming, some different sorts of filming. Just to let you know, I've been invited to a couple of places in France as well, and Spain. So, obviously when restrictions allow, I'm going to be going and fishing venues like that, venues in those countries. But what I want you to know is that I'm not really going to be doing their sort of fishing, if that makes sense. I'm very much going to be using the tactics that we use right here in the UK. So I would love to go to one or two of the big rivers like the River Ebro and fish it with a feeder, fish it with like a Trent, fast flowing river feeder setup, just to see what we get, things like that, just mixing it up. But obviously there are rivers here in England where I can go and do that. So there's going to be some, you're going to be seeing much more variety, and I'm really hoping that's what you're going to enjoy seeing. So thanks for that. Good evening, Matt126. Nice mixture. Biggest being £12, all on the MTX1 pole. Brilliant. I've already used mine, the MTX1 Power. I think the last time I used it was in a video on here. It was the one at Lindome Lakes. I just haven't had a chance to get out there with it, but yeah, it's a lovely strong pole. Thanks. We will fish on continental rivers where flow requires feeders 80 gram to 150 gram in 20 meter distance with fast action. Here I think about getting 13 to 14 foot X Pro distance instead of old acolytes. Yes, for that sort of fishing, I can see they're going to be ideal. I mean, that 80 to 150 gram, it's rare we ever use rods like that here in England unless we're fishing on rivers, even when we're casting it. If you're casting any sort of range, you don't need a rod as heavy as that. A 100 gram rod can do that for you, unless obviously it's not a method feeder. If it's like a cage feeder, then you might be better with 120 grams, something like that, depending on the rod that you're using. But yeah, I mean, that'll be ideal for that. I mean, you're not casting far. But obviously on those big rivers, a lot of the time you need to get your rod up in the air, get the line off the water. And quite often on rivers like that, the continental rivers, there can be rocks and snags close in as well, So sometimes you need to get the fish up above all those snags and rocks and things. So that's where the longer rod comes in. But I think that could be ideal. But I haven't used that length yet. Conga. Any plans to try and qualify for some of the big tournaments this year? Keep it up. Yes. Just give you a summary of what I'm going to be involved in this year. Feeder Masters, I've already got several tickets for that. Riverfest, I've got some tickets for Riverfest. I'm involved in 1 or 2 festivals as well. And I mean, as regards the Mavers, the Maver qualifiers, Fishermanias I don't bother with, but there's the Mavers and the other Golden Reel qualifiers. I'll just see how they go. I mean, I think most of them are sold out now anyway, but I have got loads of matches coming up. There are loads this year, but we are holding back as well. And I'll openly tell you this, that we are, fingers crossed, hoping that some sort of international event might still take place this year. We don't know how it's going. We don't know what's going to happen to the World Pairs yet. That will be in the first week of September. That's the usual time that takes place in Ireland. So we're hoping to go there. But there are international events that haven't taken place yet. The European Championship and the World Championship were due to take place in the middle of the year. They were still kind of hoping they were going to happen later on in the year, October, November time. There's also the World Club Final that we're meant to be fishing this year with Ringer Baits. That was being postponed, but they're still hoping that that's going to go ahead in October, November. So there's still very much up in the air at the moment, and that's why we can't plan so many events for that period. And that's, because we don't know what's happening. If those events go ahead, then obviously we're going to go and compete in them. So that's why I haven't really planned much for that period. So whilst I hope those events go ahead, if they don't, then I will obviously just fill them up with other matches. So yeah, there are loads and loads of matches. I haven't got my diary in front of me. Otherwise, I'll go through some of them with you. But yes, loads to come. Richie Herdman, hi Jamie, was going to go Boston Sunday, but think I'll go Larford instead. From what I've seen, Larford's fishing better, and being my first time out for a while, would prefer a few pulls. Yeah, I agree, Richard. Like I said, I mean, I'll tell you what Boston was like. I was at Boston Lakes on Friday. I was coaching a lad called Andy, and he fished peg 121. And to cut long story short, cast a method early on to try and snare a carp. He caught 2 small skimmers. Didn't get any other signs of carp. He's come onto his shorter line, fished the line at about 25 meters, 30 meters. He's ended up with 20, 25 pounder skimmers, which on the day was great. It was freezing cold, and there were carp anglers there as well. And we know there wasn't one carp caught, not one single carp caught. And I also know that there was the Boston Masters qualifier there the day after, which was Saturday. And one of the lads, he drew peg 124. I don't know if it's the first time he's drawn it, but he drew peg 124, and he had 1 5-pound carp, and that was it. And there wasn't another carp caught in that section. So it's fishing incredibly hard. So yeah, I mean, for a few pulls, Larford is definitely better at the moment, mate, on Match Lake or Specie Lake. But Match Lake's fishing better. But obviously, if you want some skimmers or bream, then Specie Lake, they are feeding on there. Eric's here. Good evening, Eric. Hope you're well. Not heard from you in a while. Sean, Jamie, did Jamie Hughes teach you anything via Matrix Fishing Aid? Thought that was hilarious. Yeah, that wasn't my idea, obviously. I didn't really know about that until the day that we were there. But yeah, that was the people at Matrix, Craig Butterfield and Adam Firth came up with that idea. Yeah, nice little idea. And I think quite a few people fell for that April Fool joke. So yeah, I thought it was a nice idea. I thought it was a nice looking little bit of kit as well. I don't know what you thought. I thought they did a really good job spraying it up and everything. It looked good. Martin Hingley, good evening, Martin. Which Matrix feeder rod is the best all-rounder up to 50 yards for Stillwater? Also, which reel on a budget? Cheers. I've got to be honest with you, Martin. The rod that I'm using for that sort of fishing at the moment, I've really been enjoying the distance, the X-Pro distance rod. But, I mean, you're saying on a budget, it's quite an expensive rod. It's over £200. But, that's because it's a high-end rod. It's a lovely rod. We have got some mid-range rods coming out very, very shortly, within a matter of days, I believe, that are mid-range rods. And they are really good for the price. So if I was you, if you are thinking of going out and buying one to fish that sort of range, I mean, up to 50 yards, it depends if you're fishing with a method feeder or a cage feeder, and it depends on what type of venue. If you're fishing on a natural venue, then you might be better off with a 12-foot rod for that, because you know it's like open venues, natural venues. They can be very susceptible to the wind, to the weather, and the elements. So you might find that having a 12-foot rod is going to make sure you can hit 50 yards all right when the wind gets bad. But if it's 50 yards on a commercial type venue, if you're fishing those sorts of venues where they might be sheltered, and you're fishing with a method feeder, then you can actually reach that range with an 11-foot rod, depending on the stiffness of the rod. So if I was you, Martin, if you're not in a rush, just hang about for that range, that range of rods. But the Aquos range are brilliant. I keep getting messages from people. Since we launched the high-end rods, people have seen me using it, but obviously that doesn't fit everyone's budget. I completely understand that. And when I wasn't sponsored, I didn't really spend that amount on rods anyway. I was happy to go up to 160 quid, that sort of bracket for rods, because I was always buying duplicates of them. I always wanted at least two. So obviously, if you buy a really expensive rod, then you can't buy as many of them, or it's going to skint you if it does. So just have a look at the Aquos range. The Aquos range are really good, because since we launched the high-end rods, people, obviously not everyone can afford those. Lots of people have looked at the lower end rods, or the Aquos rods, and they've gone out and bought them, and I've had some great results about them, some great reviews, people catching fish with them, and they're reliable. They're obviously not having any problems with them, and they're doing everything that they want them to do, certainly for the price of the rods of what they are. So, in fact, while we're on, let me just have a quick. It depends on the sort of fishing that you're doing, but I mean, the Aquos. Where are we? Rods, Aquos, there we go. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, the Aquos Ultra D distance rods, they're £74. The Aquos Ultra X feeder rods, £64.99. So they're £64.99, which, let's face it, for a rod, that's going to do the job, I think that's reasonable. And reel-wise, it depends on the, it depends, there are the Aquos reels as well. Okay, so let me just quote those to you, which will go with them. The Aquos reels, the Ultra reels, are £55. Okay, so the best thing I can say to you with those is, if you're going to get a 12-foot rod, then get a 4,000 reel. And if you're going to get an 11-foot rod, get a 3,000 reel. You'll just find that they're balanced really, really nicely. But I've just quoted those prices there. So for £120, you've got a really good rod and a really good reel, and you could probably get them. You might be able to get them cheaper than that. That's the retail on the website. So hopefully that will help you out a little bit. If not, just have a look at them. There are so many out there. It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? Christian, Jamie, I was thinking of getting the MTX2 pole as my first pole. Have you experienced using it? I haven't used the MTX2. I'll be honest with you. However, I'm just going to have a quick drink of this. However, I know that Jamie Hughes uses it all the time. And obviously, Jamie can use any of the poles he wishes. He's got obviously a 4, an MTX4, but he loves using the MTX2 as well, I've been told. Certainly for our margin fishing and fishing at shorter range for carp. So Jamie wouldn't use it if it wasn't up to scratch. Yeah, I'll be absolutely honest with you. I know people say, yeah, he's sponsored by Matrix. Well, that is true, but he'd always use an MTX4, wouldn't he, if he thought that was up to it? He wouldn't just use it for show. And when he's fishing in £50,000 finals and £60,000 finals, there's no way, I'll tell you now, that Jamie would use anything that he'd have any doubt in. He just wouldn't do it. So, that speaks volumes to me. But no, I personally have never used that, unfortunately, Christian. John Tipton, I can't wait to get out. I broke my pelvis in an RTC Christmas week, so I'm watching everyone's videos, but love your open water vids. Thanks for keeping me sane. Oh, John, how long are you going to be before you're going to be all right, mate? That sounds terrible. But yeah, I put a laughing face at the end of it. So I'm hoping it is April. I'm hoping you're 4 months down the line now, so you are on the road to recovery. But thanks for watching all the videos. I'm sure everybody whose videos you've been watching are very, very grateful. Thank you. There's one or two of you chatting amongst yourselves in the chat, which is great. I love to see that. Terry Stockley, Jamie, if you are doing filming, can you do some on the River Shannon? Yeah, if I can get over to Ireland, I will be. One of the trips that I wanted to get over to Ireland was purely for filming. Obviously, if I could tie it in with the festival as well, I will do that. But, Ireland is so easy to get to. And once I'm there, I could do several days of filming on different venues. So, yes, definitely, it's already on the list, Terry, mate. Lloyd Kitchen, what football team do you support? I haven't really supported a team for many, many years, but I was a Sheffield Wednesday fan. when I was a kid. I played a lot of football as a teenager. I even played at Feyenoord. Went over there with a team from Sheffield, and but then I stopped when my early teens. I just lost interest in it, you know. But I never used to like watching it, even when I was playing. I just wanted to be on the pitch playing, not watching. But there we go. It was Sheffield Wednesday, but I'm not really a big follower of it now. Steffo missed my question. Steffo 13. Let me just go back. If I missed that, I'm sorry. I'm 34. Is that the one, Steffo? I'm 34 and I always get horrible back pain after fishing. I set my seat box at a slight forward angle. Any advice on what I can do to avoid back pain? Am I doing something wrong? Well, you know, I mean, I trained as a designer. That's what I did at university, product design. And part of the studies that we had to do then was ergonomics. And it's basically the measures of the human body, you know, the best position to be sat in, comfort-wise, the measurements and all that sort of thing. You know, and the best bit of advice I've always followed, and I've never really suffered with it, touch wood, but I know people that have suffered with back pain. And that has been really to just keep your knees at 90 degrees. Keep your legs, you know, when you sat down, keep it at 90 degrees. So your thighs should be bang flat. And, you know, that's the best bit of advice. There are back rests out there now that go on lots of different boxes. That might be an option for you. I know lots of people that, having tried those back rests for the first time, never go back, you know, no pun intended. But they're so comfortable and they really helped them. So that might help you out. But I will tell you something. If it is just your fishing, I'll tell you a quick story now. Tom Pickering went months and months and months with back pain. He was suffering with it for I don't know how long it went on for. Back pain when he was fishing, he was in the right state. It was just driving him mad. You know, he tried his box, all different angles, different heights, everything. Tom's obviously tall as well, so he was messing around with the height of his box, and it went on for ages. And he, you know, kept going back to the doctor and saying, "Look, you know, what's happening? Why am I getting these back pains when I'm fishing?" And guess what it was? As it turned out, just before he started getting these back pains, he just bought a new van. And it was the seat in the van that was giving him the back pain. And that was the van that he drove fishing every time. And it was the new van, the height or the position of the seat that was giving him the back pain. Took him a long time to find that out. So I don't know if that's going to relate to you or not, but I don't know. But yeah, 90 degrees. If you can keep your thighs bang flat like that, then that's, you know, that's been always the best way to do it. So I don't know if that'll help or not. Hopefully it does. But there's nothing worse than back pain, is there? I'm going to be missing one or two here. I'm sure I am. Who's this? Kev. Jamie, can Matrix supply a replacement leg clamp for an extendable side tray? Yes, I've managed to split one. If so, how would I go about getting one? Another big loss for Wednesday. Oh, Sheffield Wednesday have lost again, have they? All right. Okay, then. A replacement leg clamp for an extendable side tray. I think I know what you mean. I might even have one, to be honest. I might even have one down there. Just ping me a message over on the other platform, please, Kev. I might be able to help you out, mate. I might have one spare if I know what it is. But if you can let me know, mate. Lloyd Kitchen. Also, I've been on the bank for the past few days. Not had any luck. Any recommendations on what Groundbreak to use on Stillwater? Thanks. It really depends. It really depends where you're fishing, to be honest, Lloyd. You know, I mean, when we're on commercials, we're using fish meal mixers. It's just about always the way to go now. And in winter time, one of the best bits of advice I can give anyone, really, if you're not quite sure what kind of a mix to use on a venue, certainly in winter or this time of year, if you just go down, and I've got to say this, F1. If you see an F1 mix or anything that says F1 on it or cool water, that's exactly what it's designed for. All right. You'll probably find that they're darker mixers. They're probably a little bit finer and not mega strong, you know, and that's the best thing I can say. You know, if the water's clear, we prefer darker mixers, and you just want a mix that hasn't got loads and loads of feed in it. You know, there are different ones out there. I mean, lots of you have seen me I've used dynamite baits recently, the cool water ones, the silverfish ones, but I've also got the ringers, the sweet, F1 sweet, or the F1 black, which is really black. The ringers one, that's great. It's really sweet smelling. That's dark. There's not much feed in there. And that's what we've used all the way through winter. So anything like that this time of year, you can't go far wrong, Lloyd, honestly. Just remember that, you know, the fish aren't feeding like they do in summer, so don't put much in. You know, only feed sparingly with whatever it is you're putting in. You know, expect to only get a few bites. It's amazing. You know, I learnt off someone, I'll not name him in case he doesn't want to get named. But, you know, he once said to me, this is going back 8 years now, he says, it's amazing how many times if you fish for £30 a fish and you only catch 10. Whereas if you fish for £10 a fish, it's amazing how many times you'll catch £30. So just, if you keep that in your head all the time, it just means that you're kind of feeling your way into the session. Expect it to be hard. And if it's better than you think, just put a bit more bait in and hopefully you'll catch more. It's just better than blowing your peg right from the outset. I don't want to ramble on that too much. I felt like I was going off on one there. John Wood. Hi, John. Hi, Jimmy. Great to see you live. Love the tips. No problem, John. Hope you're well, mate. Thanks for joining us. Terry Stokely. Shannon, better than the Ern. Is it? Okay, I'll set your word for that. There are also Rudd and Bream hybrids, which is one of the only places you can catch one. I'll let you know if I'm going over there, Terry. Hopefully I will be. Like I say, I want to get over there, obviously competing in events, but I do want to get over there filming as well. Michael, good evening, Michael. Hello. What should I do in the match when I'm in the middle of all, not the end pace, to get some fish? Do you mean the middle of the match length or the middle of the match? Middle of all? Do you mean the middle of the section? I think you mean. One thing you've got to remember with end pegs and good pegs is that quite often, you know, you might not be able to beat them. And a lot of people kind of, and I've fallen for it before, you know, if you're not on a very good peg and someone's on the end peg catching and someone might be on that end peg catching, you know, sometimes it's damage limitation. You know, quite often you can't beat those pegs, and you get that feeling that you can't beat them, and it depends what kind of a competition it is. So if it's a one-off open match, there are different things, different ways of thinking about it, to be honest, Michael. If it's an open match, for example, and that end peg's catching really well, and that end peg's catching really well, and you're in the middle and you're not, well, there are two things you can do. One is you can either knuckle down and just catch whatever you can, or you can try and beat them and just do something drastic, like fill it in or go further out or put a really positive line in and just try and draw some fish in from somewhere. And that's obviously very risky doing that. But the other way of thinking about it is, you know, it's a little bit cuter than that. And that is, well, if that peg's fishing really well and that peg's fishing really well, then you've got to think, right then, well, they might be first and second in the match. I'm going to fish for third. Or if they're only paying 2 out, then you might think, well, they're going to frame in the match, first and second, or in the frame. I'm going to try and win my section by default. So sometimes you just kind of, you know, it's just about being realistic about what you can actually catch with the peg that you're faced with. You know, a lot of the time people are trying to catch fish that quite simply aren't in front of them or not realistic that they're going to catch them. So I don't know if that answers that or not. It does depend on the type of venue and the type of match that you're fishing. But yeah, Lost and Confused. I love that name. That's great. Hi, Jamie. You've probably been asked this before, but just curious why you specialise in feeder fishing, Tom. Yeah, I have been asked it before. I'll try and summarise it for you, Tom. I got back into match fishing in 2010. I got back into it because I won a club match. I won a club match, and it actually broke the record on that venue. And I didn't really try very hard. You know, my kit wasn't up to scratch or anything. And it made me want to get more involved in it. So what I did was I started fishing some open matches. And for a few months, I didn't have a clue where I was. I just didn't know, because I was trying to get to grips with commercials. I still loved my natural venues, and I didn't really know where I wanted to be. I went in a Fishermania qualifier once and something else, and I just didn't know where I was, and I wasn't really succeeding at anything, really. So I thought I'll get involved with the team. So I got involved, cut long story short, but I managed to get involved with Garbalino Ossett, who are now Browning Ossett. They won the Division 1 National a couple of years before that. And I kind of went to that team because Andy Geldart, Joe Carras, and there was somebody else. Can't remember what it was. Left them. Lee Kerry. I think it was Lee Kerry. No, it wasn't. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, they left Ossett to go and fish for Barnsley Blacks. So they had a bit of a vacancy there. So I managed to get in with that team. And I fished with them for a year. Now, what happened in that year was I was obviously fast-tracking my learning by mixing with that group. I was picking up on current match day fishing, and I was also getting a feel for where I wanted to be in fishing. But what I quickly found was I was trying to team fish on a Saturday with them, which was on natural venues, deep canals, all around Yorkshire, the Stainforth and Kidby Canal, Selby Canal, the River Don at Sprotborough, all those sorts of venues. But then on a Sunday, I was trying to compete in open matches as an individual on commercial waters. But what I found was I needed two completely different sets of kit. I needed one set of kit for Saturday for the team fishing, which was all about really fine canal gear, top 5 kits, chopworm, bread punch, hemp, casters, squats. It was just unreal on a Saturday. But then on a Sunday, I was changing it all for a carp type pole, all my pole rigs for carp fishing, pellets, meat, corn, all that business. And I've got to obviously admit that I just couldn't handle both. I didn't even have a van then. I had a car. I was trying to get all my gear in, and it just became too much. And I knew I needed to kind of specialize. I needed to focus on one thing. And what basically happened was, at that very moment, I saw the advertisement that Tom Pickering and the Angling Trust put out there in the angling press, where they were saying that they were going to be running the first ever World Feeder Fishing Championship. England would be entering a team under Tom Pickering as manager, and they were looking for applicants to send them your CV and register an interest to attend the first ever England feeder team trial. And that's what I did. I thought, I look back at the results I had when I was a kid, and, I fished for Young England up until I was 19. I had some really nice match wins, and a lot of it was on feeder fishing. I loved feeder fishing. And I thought, yeah, I like the idea of this. That sounds like something I'd like to be part of. So that's what I did. I sent them my CV. Tom Pickering had never heard of me. No one had ever heard of me because I hadn't fished in an open match since 1991. And miraculously, I got invited along to the trial. He says, yeah, we'd love to see you. So I went along there, and that's where it started. Obviously, I didn't get picked that first year. The first ever trial was at Attenborough Gravels. I was there amongst all the big names, all the household fishing names. Nobody on the bank even ever heard of me or had seen me before anyway, but I obviously knew who they were because I've been seeing them in the fishing magazines and everything. So I went along to that trial, and the way that I fished was a little bit unorthodox in the sense that I did a few things that Tommy wouldn't have done, but I caught fish. I caught more fish than anybody around me. On my left was a very, very big name angler that I won't name. He had 3 fish. I caught 6 fish. The lad on my right blanked, and then the next one along, another big name angler, he had 1 fish. So I caught, I doubled more than people around me, but the way that I did it wasn't quite to the international, I'll not say standard, but it was just different because obviously I was very old school. I was still fishing as though it was 1990. And that's where it started. I had a meeting with Tommy just after that. I arranged to meet him at Lindholm Lakes a couple of weeks later. I said, look, Tom, can I have a bit of feedback, please, on how it went? And he was really surprised. And I said, yeah. I said, I want to be invited back next year, but I want to know what I need to work on for the next 12 months. And that's basically where it all started. Tommy told me the 3 key things that he felt I needed to either work on or improve on. And I went away and did it. And I got invited back the next year. And it just went from there. But it just suited me because I was obviously working full time, and there was no way I could keep on top of my game, keeping on top of pole rigs, float rigs, or all the elastics, all the rigs, feeder fishing, team fishing. I couldn't do it all. It would have taken over my life, and I just couldn't have done it all well. So that's when I knew I needed to specialize. I think I might have rambled on that, but that's basically how it started for me. It just meant I could just condense everything down. It just meant I could focus on it better, because if I was still trying to do everything, I'd just be out there just going from match to match, and not really focused on anything. So it was partly good timing as well, because that, the feeder thing came along, and I went for it then. So yeah, anyway, I'm sorry if I rambled on that one. Ian Howard, good evening, Ian. Hi, Jamie. Love your match videos. What's the score for your trips to Ireland and the Iberian Festival this year? Ian in the Scottish Borders. Good evening, Ian. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, as you probably guessed, the Iberian Masters didn't go ahead this year. That would have taken place already. They were talking about trying to run it later on in the year, but I don't think that's going to happen. Partly because even if things do move quick enough that they can run an event like that, I think there will be lots of absences, either through other countries not being able to travel to compete in it, or if other big events are going to get rescheduled, i.e. World Pairs, the World Club Feeder Final, the World Championships, the European Championships, there's Walterland, there's things like that. they will take place at the same sort of time, so they won't get the attendances. So I personally don't think that will go ahead, the Iberian. As regards Ireland, the World Pairs, fingers crossed, we're hoping that'll still go ahead. It's due to go ahead the first week in September. That's when ish, in September. So whether that still will take place or not, I don't know. We don't know. I got a message from somebody very high up involved with the running of that event only 2 days ago, asking me whether I think it would go ahead. So even at that level, they're still undecided. But I hope it does go ahead, simple as that. So, and if they do, then obviously I'll be doing some filming for you, Ian. So thanks for joining us, mate. Richard Wayman, hello, my brother. Do fish meal mixers have a stronger smell than other types? I wouldn't say stronger, but certainly different. That coffee's going down well. I mean, they can do. There are stronger fish meals and there are weaker fish meals. There are some really strong mixers out there, fish meal wise, that I've talked about before, but there are weaker versions of fish meal. But there are other groundbacks out there that are like cereal-based mixers that they are strong. Some are really, really sweet. There are some mixers over in Holland, over in Belgium. Some people call them waffle mixers. They smell just like a waffle. They're really, really sweet. So I wouldn't say stronger, but they are certainly different. But like anything, there are different grades anyway, stronger ones and weaker ones. Tom Cross, hello, Jamie. What's your thoughts on the 100 grand super cool that's running at the moment? I'll be honest with you, Tom. I'm a massive believer that, any events or anybody what's going to throw lots of money at match fishing, then good luck to them. I really hope they do it well. I hope they do it right. And I mean, I don't know. It was just a format that was a little bit, I don't know, Tom. I mean, I think it's absolutely brilliant for the people that are involved in it, and it's just not something that I could even think about just because there's that much else going on at the moment. But if it does work, if it does go to plan, then I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I think it'll be huge next year. If it all runs to plan, it's run well. I haven't delved into it too far, obviously, because there's too much involved elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, the potential to fish for £100,000. I mean, who really wouldn't want, to be part of that if you could be part of it? I just think it's a really interesting format, but I don't think the format's for everybody. But if it runs well and it's successful and 100 grand gets paid out to someone, I think that'll be massive next year, Tom. I really, really do. So good luck to everybody involved in that. Certainly the organisers, because they're obviously sticking their neck out by running something like that. And I really hope it's a success. I really do. Are you involved in it, Tom? Let me know, mate. Leighton, hi, mate. Love the channel. Keep it up. Thanks, Leighton. Thanks for joining us, mate. Richie Herdman, good to see you chatting amongst yourselves. That's brilliant. Neil Swanner, good evening, Neil. I didn't know you were here, mate. What did Tommy tell you to work on, mate? There were three things. I'll not say. I'll tell you when I see you, Neil. It's nothing bad. It's just I don't even know if Tommy would want me to tell anybody, things like that, because obviously there was a lot of competitiveness in that side. And a lot of the things that I went away to work on, I literally disappeared for a year almost to go and work on. I mean, one of them was just about the bait that I had with me. So that wasn't really about actual fishing. It was just about preparing for international type events. But yeah, I'll tell you when I see you, Neil. I don't want to say because, I don't know how much Tommy confided in me in those things, because that really helped me along, by knowing what to work on. But, there were people that didn't ask him what, where they went wrong. So, for me, you can't learn from that. Unless somebody tells you where you went wrong or what you can improve on, I can't see how you can go away and work on things. So yeah, I'll be seeing you on the bank, Neil. Michael, is it possible to see subtitles in your future videos? For someone like me with not good English language, it will be easier to understand and learn more. I know, Michael, I do apologise. I have been asked about this a few times. There are lots of viewers over certainly in Holland, Germany and Belgium who have asked about subtitles. I've got quite a broad accent anyway, and I speak fast, which doesn't help. That's just the way I am. And I have looked at the subtitles avenue, and it is something I'm working on. I've already started working on subtitles in certain languages. So if you can tell, Michael, I do apologise, but I'm not sure what country you're in. If you can let me know what country you're in, please. I don't want to try and guess from your name what would be your preferred language, because I've got a feeling it's going to be the same as some of the others. But yes, I've been asked about that before, and it's something that I am working on. Certainly on the session videos, when I'm talking fast, and on the bank side, yes. So yes, there are. I am working on the subtitles, titles. But can you please tell me what country you're from, please, or what your language is, please? My preferred language. John Blow. Good evening, John. Brilliant to see you at the weekend, mate. Thank you for saying hello on Friday. Do you think it's possible to compete on small commercials with feeder against the pole guys? Yes, 100%, John. The only time it really gets difficult, John, is when people are catching shallow. And that's because it's just, it's such a quick way of fishing, because the fish are up in the water. That's where they want to be, and if you can get that right, get your feeding right, get the depth right, and get the technique right, it's very, very difficult to beat those lads. And the only way you're going to beat those lads that are fishing shallow, John, is either A, to catch them quicker, which can be difficult with a feeder, or B, you've got to catch bigger fish. All right, so maybe there's scope there for you, John, on the venues that you fish. There are some venues where you can target bigger fish and get out of jail with bigger fish, certainly down margins later on and that sort of thing. But it does depend on the venue. But that's when it gets difficult, John, when you're catching shallow. And that's why a lot of venues like, there's venues near me that I wouldn't go to during the summer months. Like Lindholm Lakes, for example. I really like Lindholm Lakes, and you can catch fish there on a feeder. But I've heard Tom Pickering talk about it before. He can go there through the winter, springtime. But even in the summer, he's catching 150 pound, can catch up to 200 pound on the feeder, which is brilliant. But the pole lads are catching 300 pound shallow, and it's just that little bit too much for a feeder approach. But that depends on the type of venue. That is a pole type venue, Lindholm Lakes. Whilst you can still catch on a feeder, the pole just does dominate on most of the lakes. So it depends on the venue, John. But if it's one where there are bigger fish there, or if you can find a quicker way of catching them on the feeder, then yeah, possibly, definitely. I've done it before, John. So yeah, it depends on the venue, mate. Michael, I mean just English language. Sometimes it is a lot easier to understand by read. Oh, right, okay then. Yes, of course, I can do that, Michael. No problem. Yes, if that's all it is, yes, it's on the list, mate. I'll get it done. Okay. Great. Thank you for that, mate. It's suggestions like that help me, improve things and make them better for everyone. No problem, Tom. Thanks for joining us, mate. Terry Stockley, if there's 100 grand Super Cup, Mr. Jamie Hughes will win it. I'm assuming Jamie's taking part in it. I don't know if he is, but I'd pretty much guarantee that he'd want to be part of it. I can't see how he'd miss an opportunity like that to be involved in that. So, yes, I'm sure Jamie is involved in it. Neil, fair enough, mate. Happy to chat on the bank. Yeah, it's nothing against you, Neil. It's just, I don't know how much of a what's the word, confidential chat it was that Tommy had with me, but it's certainly nothing secretive. I just don't want to say it on here. Matt Davis, good evening, Matt. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Jamie. How do you keep your drive and competitiveness up when you're on a bad run? Do you even take time out to refresh? Yes, all the time, Matt. It's one of them things. It's difficult, with fishing sometimes, because it's one of those sports where you could be the most prepared angler on the bank. You could have practiced more than any other angler on the bank. Your kit could be in better condition than any other angler on the bank. But unfortunately, if you don't fish, or you don't sit where there are some fish, or draw peg where there are fish to win, you're not going to win. And that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with in fishing, and we all struggle with that. But obviously you just got to learn to kind of accept it. It gets frustrating. But part of that can be down to the venues that you're fishing as well. At the moment, I'm really struggling at the moment to just find a venue where there's some fish feeding on the feeder. It's simple as that, because it's very, very difficult. If you're fishing a venue that's peggy, or if there aren't many fish feeding, then it can be very, very difficult to try and work something out, to try and work out the best way of catching fish. Because some of the venues I'm fishing right now, they're just completely random at the moment. You might as well just not prepare at all, just rock up on the bank and just decide to do something and see what happens. Whereas when fish are feeding, they're moving around a little bit more. That's when you can work things out. That's when you can, there are better ways of approaching fishing like that. So yeah, it can be difficult, Matt, but you just got to be realistic about it. Try not to beat yourself up too much. We all do it, but the great thing with fishing is, Matt, whichever way you look at it, is that each match is a fresh start. It's a fresh start. It's a fresh peg the next time you go. So you're starting from scratch every day. So yeah, you might have had a bad day. You might be throwing your gear in the van and you don't want to see it until the following Thursday when you start thinking about getting it out for the next weekend. But when you do go the next weekend, you put your hand in the draw bag. That's a fresh peg. It's a fresh start, you know, and that's all you can do. And just be realistic about your own performance. You know, I mean, I've learned this myself, but I've also learned along the way that the top lads, the best anglers in the world, do this. You know, you might not win a penny in a match. You know, you might go to a match, you might not win a penny, but if you fished a really tidy match, if your decisions were right, if you fed well, if you were nice and neat and tidy, if your kit were right, if you've hooked every bite you've had, if you've landed every fish and you've probably won your section, or you've done really well from where you've drawn, even if you've not won anything, then you've got to take that away from it. You know, you've got to take the positives away and just say, well, look, you know, if I'd drawn a better peg today, I would have done really, really well. So you know, on those days, what I tend to do is I just look at my own performance. Like I had a match on Sunday, for example. I'll tell you this: I had a first Feeder Masters qualifier on Sunday. It was at Decoy Lakes. I drew on horseshoe peg 10 for those of you that know it, and it's a horseshoe shaped lake like that, and I drew right on the point. Nice looking peg. I didn't know it. I've never seen it before in my life, but it looked like it could throw up a few fish. But what happened was I've started the match and I've caught 3 fish in 3 casts. So I've started just off 3/4 of the way across, little method feeder, and I've caught 3 F1s in the first 3 casts. Fantastic. I'm winning that bit there. I've got 7 pound in the net, first 3 casts, great. And that was it. They've just gone. And the pegs to my right and the pegs to my left, where it opens out into a big bay, there's a big bay there and a big bay there, the fish have just backed out to those wider pegs. And for the next hour, I've tried everything. You know, because I've started short, I thought, well, now I need, because I've got a game plan in my head, I thought, right, I've caught some early mugfish short. Well, I haven't even explored that far bank yet. So I've still got that to go to, which is great. And all I've done is I've worked my way across to that other bank, which was part of my plan. And usually on other venues that would have worked, because any fish what have backed off would have gone to that far bank where there was a little bit of cover and I could have carried on putting 1 or 2 fish in the net. But as I worked my way out, I just haven't had a bite. And I've gone out, and I've finished up that far from the other bank, underneath these bushes. I just haven't had a bite. I have not caught another fish. It was unbelievable. And the lads round to, well, 2 to my right and 3 to my left in the big bays has just started catching and catching and catching. And I'm just sat there watching. There was nothing I could do. Now, I didn't catch then. I didn't catch until the last 30 minutes. With 30 minutes to go, well, with 90 minutes to go, I primed my inside line. So I put a couple of cages of pellets underneath the platform to my left. And with 30 minutes to go, I've gone on it with a little method feeder, put it down, and the rod's gone straight round, and I've had 50 pound in 30 minutes. I couldn't get back in quick enough. Now, obviously, I ended up weighing 57 pound, which was nowhere, to be fair. It could have been a lot worse had I not prime that line and fish it like I did and caught that 50 pound in the last 30 minutes. But just round the corner, just on the point here, he had 3 pegs away. He had 107 pound, I think it was, or 109. The next one down, there was a big gap, and then further down there was Rob Button on the other bank. He'd 100 pound, and then the lad next to him had 100 pound, and he won the zone with 111 pound. Now, looking back, I mean, I'm driving home disappointed. I haven't qualified. I haven't won the section. But obviously, I've got to try and take something away from it. And the things I took away from that match were, I did have a plan. Usually that plan would have worked, catching fish early in open water and then working my way across, rather than catching them fish right across early and then ruining the rest of my peg. So that I was pleased with that idea. Even though it didn't work, at least I stuck to the plan. And then I was really pleased with that last 30 minutes. But in hindsight, as soon as that feeder went in with 30 minutes to go, the rod's gone round and I've got one. So I can't help but think, how long have those fish been there? So those fish might have been there for the last hour, maybe. So obviously, if I'd gone down there with an hour to go, well, who knows what I would have gone on to catch. You know, if I caught 50 pound in 30 minutes, if those fish were there, well, potentially I could have got 100 pound or 80 pound. Are you with me? So I'm driving away thinking I left out a little bit too late. Okay, so that's in my mind. And the other thing I took away from it was, there's no way do I honestly believe that for that 3 hours, 3.5 hours, in the middle of the match, when I haven't caught a fish, do I honestly believe that there weren't a fish in front of me? There must have been a fish in front of me. Even if it was just passing through from the wide pegs, passing through past the point, there must have been coming past me. So all I've done since then is think, well, how could I have caught a fish in those 3.5 hours? There must have been a way. And probably just dropping a feeder in the middle and just being a lot more patient. That might have been the way to go. But what happens is that when you start seeing people catching like that around you, you know, yeah, the other angler was two to my right. No, three to my right, three to my left. When they start catching like that, you can just see yourself falling further and further and further behind, and you can find yourself chasing it. And that's what I almost had to do, because I went so far behind. I was 10 fish behind, 12 fish behind, 13, 14 fish behind. All of a sudden, you're kind of thinking, where am I going to get these fish from? So you do chase it a little bit. So I think I would have been better just to slow it down, just drop a feeder in the middle or 3/4 of the way across and just sit and be patient and just try and catch 1, 2, 3 fish as opposed to catching nothing. But I don't know if I've rambled on that, but they're the things that you do, Matt. You just look at your own game. You can only fish the peg that you've drawn or that you draw, you know, and unfortunately there aren't always going to be enough fish in that peg to win the match. So you just kind of got to try and catch what's there. But it's just, you know, you've got to shake it off. Simple as that. It's not easy sometimes, but you've got to accept it. If you're going to be part of match fishing, you've always got to accept it. You know, I see world champions beating themselves up, wanting to throw the tackle in the river or whatever. But by the next match, you know, you just get your mind together and you start fresh on the next match. It's all you can do. It's all you can do. Michael Gray, hi Michael. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck with your new venture, Jamie. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for joining us. Cameron Stewart, hi there. Good evening, Cameron. Hope you're still here, mate. I've only just seen this. Randy, good evening. Can you give me a tip on how to catch big carp on natural venues where carp anglers fish? I can't get a bite off them. Are the big carp anglers catching them? I mean, that's the first thing. I mean, if they're catching them, just try and copy them. Simple as that. When I've seen people catch big carp, certainly specimen carp anglers, if they're catching big carp and you're not, then just copy them. You know, they've usually, I mean, I obviously can't vouch for these anglers here, but they usually fish very, very different from what we do. So, you know, they're probably spodding, lots of baiting, might be lots of particles, hemp, crushed boilies, pellets, corn, anything like that. If they're spodding in, sometimes just the action of spodding in is enough to draw fish in. I've seen that happen on lots of venues. I've seen it happen at Barston Lakes. You know, we're sat there casting a method feeder out there, you know, sitting and waiting, and you get a carp angler spodding baiting like that. It's only that deep, and they're spodding baiting, and then they go and catch, you know, because quite often that noise, they get used to that noise and disturbance going in. So that's what draws the bigger fish in. So, and the other thing is, Randy, is the hook baits. You know, I've seen, you know, we're fishing with 8mm wafters and 10mm wafters and things like that. We see some of these specimen carp lads, even when they're catching carp that are 6, 8, 10 pound and obviously much bigger, they're fishing with great big baits. They might be fishing with 16mm boilies, snowmen, things like that. So I'd just copy them. If they're catching them and you're not, then yeah, just emulate it. You can feed the same way and still cast a feeder over the top, but that'd be the first thing that I'd do. Dazzler, it's a northern thing, Jamie. Nice one, mate. Sam, good evening, Tam. There's a CC button on the video which generates subtitles. Thanks for that, Sam. I'm not sure if that works on my channel or not. I will check that after this live stream. I will check the subtitles thing to see what. I'm not sure if it's activated or not, or whether I need to work on it. But I will check that out. Thanks for pointing that out, Sam. I'd forgotten about that. Michael, I'm in Poland. Thank you. Thanks for that. Michael, but I do know that it's English subtitles you want. That's great. Terry, Jamie, who do you think is best feeder angler, and who have you learned the most from? Wow, that's a big question. I need a drink for that one. The thing with feeder fishing is that there are lots and lots of different disciplines in feeder fishing now. You know, there's obviously river feeder fishing, method feeder fishing on commercials for carp. There's natural water feeder fishing. There's bream fishing. There's roach fishing. I don't know if you mean the best all-rounder, but to be quite honest, Terry, I mean, initially, the person that I learned the most off, the angler that I learned the most off in one big hit was Dean Barlow, you know, because after my first trial at Attenborough with Tommy and the England team, I knew what I needed to work on, but I was very, very impatient. I didn't want to take 3 or 4 years to learn what I needed to learn and then go and work on it. I just didn't want that. So I booked today's coaching with Dean Barlow. I knew the things that Tommy had spoken to me about where I needed to work on. I knew the things that I wanted to work on, but I wanted to fast track a lot of the things that I knew would take me ages to kind of get right. because I was fishing on my own. You know, I wasn't with a team then. I wasn't fishing with any top anglers in any sort of close quarters. So I was trying to find everything out on my own. And so obviously when you do that, things take much longer. So I booked today's coaching with Dean Barlow, and that just fast tracked a lot of things for me. Just kind of confirming things about shot leaders, the right length, the shot leader knots, rigs, a bit of the casting techniques as well. Just things like that, and that just fast tracked everything. It meant I could put the line through so many things that I probably would have learned those things anyway, but it probably would have taken me 2 years just through process of elimination on my own. So that really fast tracked things for me, you know, and I can't thank Dean enough for that. And I highly recommend anybody else doing something like that if you want to up your game, because it just packs everything into one day. You know, yeah, it might cost you a couple of £100 or whatever it is. Depends who you go with, but it's really it can save you so much time, money, and effort in the long run. You know, if you think, you know, if you're trying to figure out what shot leaders to use for the style of fishing that you're using, knots, rods, you see, just the casting thing can be expensive. I know people that have been trying to say cast 40 or 50 meters, and they've broken 4 or 5 tips doing so. You know, and if there's something like a Daiwa rod, I think the Daiwa tips are about £40 each. Things like that, you know, where, you know, if you have one day with someone, or half a day even, some people have half-day sessions, all that can just be eliminated. And that's what really happened for me with Dean. And then from then, you know, me being me, I just put myself out there. I got some results, and before I knew it, you know, people were kind of talking to me about techniques and stuff. So I suddenly found I was learning off them, from lots of different people, pulling lots of different things. Certainly all the England team, the England lads have been brilliant. They're all approachable. And obviously I've been in the circle with them for a few years now, in all the team meetings, been away together, been abroad, you know, and you do chat, you see each other's way of setting rigs up and things like that. And it's nice to repay that if they ever come up to me or send me a message about something that I've done or they want to see. So it can be a nice bubble to be in, where you're sharing a lot of the information. So it's been very much a group thing. You know, I've learned from, I like to take elements away from, you know, lots of different angles, just like they do with other anglers. So initially the big boost was Dean Barlow, and then since then it's been lots of different people. You know, I'm fortunate that lots of people, not lots of people, but a lot of the top lads will, you know, give me information if I need it, because they know that I've given them information when they need it, whether it be on a venue or something I've done, you know, and it's a two-way thing. You know, it's good to build relationships like that. And it's important to stay on top of your game. So initially it was Dean. As regards the best feeder angler, it depends what sort of discipline it is, because you know, I mean, arguably, I think Steve Ringer's still ranked world #1, and who would argue with that, you know? But, you know, there are anglers out there who are brilliant on natural venues, fishing for bream. There are some out there that are brilliant fishing for roach. There are different disciplines. It's like fast water feeder fishing. You know, it's a discipline that, you know, not many people do in this country now. Not all the time. You know, when you talk about a feeder angler in this country, if you mention it, if you put that question out there, people seem to automatically think of bream fishing. You know, a big reservoir where you're catching bream. And, you know, there are so many different ways of fishing with a feeder. And that's like when we go abroad, that's why the England team or the England squad that Dean's got now, that obviously Tommy built initially and now Dean's got, that group of lads there fish lots of different disciplines within feeder fishing. So, you know, a prime example of that might be the last European challenge that the last World Championships was South Africa, where they were fishing for carp on massive expanse of water. The year before that was Italy, the European champs. We were fishing for skimmers, bream, and there was some carasio there as well, and 1 or 2 bigger carp, and that was on a canal. Then, obviously, before that, I mean, the last time I fished there, we were in Serbia. We were catching catfish on bloodworm. You know, we were also catching. There was some perch there. You know, so it's so varied when you go to these other countries. You know, you're fishing for different species in different ways, and you need to be adaptable. So, I mean, I couldn't name one angler who's the best at all that, because there are anglers within, or I would consider that some of the best feeder anglers that I haven't seen fish like that, you know, in certain disciplines. So I don't know if you mean an all-rounder. But I love all the disciplines, Terry. I think you know that. You've seen that through the videos. Sam, subtitles and closed captions. Thanks for that, Sam. I forgot all about that. James Atkins, good evening, James. I didn't know you were here. Sorry I was late, Jamie. I was loading my video I made today. Oh, right. Okay, mate. Have you caught some fish? Sean Elliott, you speak fast because, like me, mate, you're from God's own country. I think it's just the enthusiasm. That's all it is, Sean. Graham Long, good evening, Graham. Thanks for joining us, mate. And I didn't realise you were here. Wayne Dobson, running on a budget. Whoa, where's that gone? We lost you there, Wayne. Where have you gone? It keeps jumping. I do apologise. There we go. Running on a budget, what suggestions would you have regarding how many rods required, feeder, rod lengths, reels, etc., to cover from commercials to fishing somewhere like Southfield distance work? You don't need to go daft with rods, Wayne. I mean, if it was me, the way that I fish, I could fish most venues with 2 rods. I'll be absolutely honest with that. Depending on the rods that they are, I would like an 11-foot rod and a 12-foot rod. Simple as that. Okay, the 11-foot rod, I'd have a 3,000 reel, and a 12-foot rod, I'd have a 4,000 reel. Now, the 11-foot rods would cover most of my commercial fishing. Depending on the type of rod that it is, you can fish with that with a method feeder up to 40 meters. If it's a decent, stiffer rod, you can go 60, 70 meters. Some of the stiffer 11-foot rods, depending on your budget, you can go to 90 meters. Okay, so an 11-foot rod like that, you can fish with a method feeder, you can fish with a cage feeder, anything like that. So an 11-foot rod would let you do all that, and to me, you could put a shorter line in if you were fishing on a big reservoir. And then a 12-foot rod will allow you to go 60 meters, depending on the rod that it is. Obviously, there are some that are softer than others, and and can't cast quite as far. But if you're looking at that 50-meter sort of range, like Southfield, I mean, Southfield usually it's 50, 55 meters. You can obviously catch by casting a little bit further, but most of the year, most of the time, it's 50, 55 meters, and a 12-foot rod will let you do that easily. Okay, so 2 rods will let you do that, and a 12-foot rod obviously will let you cast further. If you're going on commercials where you need to cast usually on commercials, you cast in a method feeder, which are much easier to cast than conventional feeders. So a 12-foot rod, depending on the rod, again, you could be casting 80 meters depending on the rod, or further, depending on the type of rod that it is. But even some of the lower budget rods, a 12-foot rod with a method feeder, you still, it's going to allow you to cast 60 meters, which, I mean, let's be honest, for most people on most commercials and most venues, that's as far as they're going to want to cast in this country, I think. So yeah, those 2 rods, I could do all sorts with those, Wayne. David, good evening, David. Greetings from the Northern Ireland. It's still bloody hard fishing on the Erne at the moment. I bet it is. It's still hard fishing here most places, especially in the natural waters. Graham, hi, Jamie. Evening, mate. Just got parked up at Donny. Nice to catch a stream. Oh, you parked up for the night, are you, Graham, or are you collecting? Are you collecting and you're obviously working tonight, mate? Russell Parsons, good evening. Hi, Russell. Hope you're all right, mate. Thank you for a great day on Saturday. No problems, mate. It was great to see you, Russell, mate. It was a very hard day, but it was great to see you digging deep, and you got the late visit that you wanted. You got the carp, mate, didn't you? Brilliant to see you, mate. Thanks for that at Larford. It was a test, challenging, but the fish were there, weren't they? Jeff Bacon, all the best to Dad. Thank you, mate. Thanks for that. Nice one, Tommy. That's a nice log on. How, Jamie? Do you not throw the towel in when things just aren't going right on a match? No bites, crack-offs when your plan goes to pot. I find it so frustrating. Yeah, it's difficult sometimes, Sometimes you do want to throw the towel in. But it depends on the situation, on the scenario. If you've done everything you can, then you just kind of got to try and keep your cool a little bit. If you've done anything daft, if you've done something stupid, and you've ruined your own peg, or you've, I don't know, left off your kit at home, left all your hook lengths at home, or something like that, kick your bait over into the margins. If you've done something like that, then yeah, I can understand why you get frustrated, But if you've done everything to plan, if you've been, I like to use the word professional. If you've been professional about your match, if you've been prepared, you've turned up, you've got everything set up, you've had a plan, and you've stuck to that plan, and you've responded to things that's happened around you, and it still doesn't work, well, you can only give it your best shot. And it is so frustrating when it doesn't work. But unfortunately, the hard truth is that, if you want to be part of fishing, you've got to be able to accept it, and I see lads older than me now, like Dean and one or two of the other lads, that, they've just grown to accept it. you know, somebody said, what is it? Don't take your last match to the next match. You know, if you have a bad match, just even if it takes you a couple of days to get over it, just don't, you know, just keep cool and look forward to the next one. Plan the next one. Dazzler, our club is float only matches. That's all right, mate. Is that because of the venues that you fish? I know some competitions are float only, but that's really a reflection of the types of venues that they're fishing. There might be smaller commercials and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that might be the case. There are so many. Dean's here. Good evening, Dean. Hope you're well. Dean Bayliss, thanks for joining us, mate. Carl Rainbird. Hi, Jamie. See a lot of people and past videos of yours using a stopwatch. How long would you give a method, line or bait before changing? I find myself getting impatient and change frequently. It's very much trial and error, Carl. The thing with the stopwatch is there's a lot of people that kind of look at the stopwatch as they look at it from the different angle. You know, people think it's probably just the way that I've talked about it and the way that other people have talked about it. When they say they use a stopwatch, people think that you decide, I'm going to leave this in 5 minutes, then reel in. They think that's the process. And, you know, sometimes you might do that just to kind of get a feel for the session to see how it's going. But that's not really what we do. You know, what we do is we just use it as a guide. And the reason why it's so important to me in my fishing, certainly through winter and on venues where it's fishing really, really hard, is because I've tested myself. I once fished a match at Southfield Reservoir. Admittedly, it was fishing really hard anyway. But what happens at Southfield is there isn't anything between the pegs. So it's very much a social match because you can see each other. You know, you can see 10 anglers that way, 10 anglers that way, and you can literally chat to lads 2 and 3 pegs away sometimes. So it can be a very social match. And as you can expect, when you're not getting any bites, when it's fishing hard, you've got more time to chat. But that's the time when you lose track of how long your feeder's been out there. And I trialed this on one particular match. I thought, you know, I'm really going to test myself today just to see what it's like. And I'd cast the feeder out, put the rod down, and that's it. You know, you're waiting for your bite. And I was having 10, 15-minute casts to start with. It was fishing very, very hard. We were literally fishing for a bite. But what happens is when you sat there, people are talking to you, you're talking to them, they're talking to them. Sometimes you might look at your phone or whatever. And I set my stopwatch going and I put it down out of the way. And I tested myself and I thought, right, I'm gonna try and guess to see how long that feeder's been out there. And it just completely blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. You know, on the first time I did it, I thought, right, okay, that's been out there 9.5 minutes, I think I said, something like that. It wasn't quite 10 minutes. I think I said 9.5 minutes. And I looked at my stopwatch and it had been there 4.5 minutes. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, you know, I would have been reeling in a minute and it's only been in 4.5 minutes. I couldn't believe it. It was just amazing how easy it was to lose track of time. And that's when I realized that how important it is for me to use a stopwatch. Now, we don't stick to it religiously, but it's just a guide. So, for example, I use it to kind of just to get a feel for how the match is fishing. So if it's somewhere where it's fishing hard, then you might start on 10-minute casts. Just cast it out, set it going 10 minutes. And you'll obviously know whether you've had a bite within 10 minutes. You know, if it gets to 10 minutes, you haven't had a bite, well, bring it in, go back out again and have another 10 minutes. You can do that. If that doesn't work, if you're not getting any bites, then you can say, right, well, I'm going to try 15-minute casts. So next time, just give it 15 minutes. And it's amazing how many times you can spot a kind of time period of when you're getting bites, you know, like an optimum time. But it just means that you're not just sat there daydreaming, you know, because, you know, it's so easy to lose track of time, you know, and on those sorts of venues, you know, if you have got to be patient, if you have got to leave it out there longer, then it's just good to have that because it just gives you a guide. You know, it's a really good guide. That's all it is. But yeah, it's not for everybody. Not everybody uses them. But I find that most people that try it and try using them tend to carry on using them. So yeah, that's the main thing. So I hope that helps you out with that. Kevin Fisk, hi Jamie, love videos. Local reservoir nicknamed Bermuda Triangle. Okay, covered in thick weed and very little bare spot. Locals say it doesn't fish well until summer. Any tips for winter and fishing deep weed? No, I mean, the only thing with weed, I mean, the best thing we've always found is if we're fishing on or near any weed, it's better to fish with a method feeder because if it's sat, obviously, a method feeder, it means that your hook bait is actually sat on something clean, which is the feeder itself. Okay, so your hook bait's right in the middle on some sort of a dinner plate. It's the only way to fish like that, you know. I mean, obviously you can go looking for clear spots. If there are clear spots, then fish those spots. But if you've got to fish on weed, the method feeder is usually best, and something really visual, you know, on the hook, whether it's, you know, a wafter or a nice big bright piece of corn, something like that that the fish can see. You know, live baits tend to riddle into weed as well, so don't use live baits because they will riddle out of it. But yeah, method feeder, nice plate like that, because even if it lands on weed, it's still hopefully going to be a little bit exposed with your hook bait right in the middle. That's usually the way. Well, there's so many comments on here. Thank you so much to everybody for logging on. I'm glad you've joined us tonight. Really appreciate that. Like I said, for everything you want to know about the channel, catchfishingchannel.co.uk. There's all information on there about the dates and everything. Thank you for just logging on and hearing the good news tonight. There's so many videos coming now. Obviously, there were lots coming anyway, but now they're coming now. I've got 7 days a week, or from in 6 weeks' time, I've got 7 days a week to devote to this channel. Then there are videos coming from all over, different venues, different disciplines. So please don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those. And if you've enjoyed this live stream, if many of you are still watching, I'd really appreciate just a thumbs up, and that'll let me know if you've enjoyed it. If you've got some sort of value out of it, then obviously I can do more of them for you when I can. So thanks for logging on tonight. I really hope you're all safe and well. I'm out this weekend filming for you. So the next session video will be getting uploaded this weekend, and then we'll be back into full flow now that everything else is in place. And I've got much more time on the bank to share with you. So thanks for logging on, everybody. I really appreciate all the comments. If you've got any other queries, comment below, and any other links that you're curious about, you know, as regards the Catch Fishing channel, the courses, the online courses, coaching, and Patreon TV, the links are below. And just to let you know, some people have asked about Patreon TV, which is the membership exclusive channel to this one. That is now capped at 250 members. I've done that because with 250 members, I can reply to everybody's messages, because I want to keep a nice personal platform. You know, I'm there to help you wherever I can. And I'm, you know, it's never about the numbers on that channel. It was about giving value to people who, you know, want to send me private messages about the fishing and stuff. So all the links are underneath for you. So thanks for logging on, everybody. And I'll see you this weekend, where I've got a nice session video for you. And hopefully you're going to be enjoying that. So take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll see you all at the weekend.